Hello everyone, good morning. It's time to start the day. Grab your coffee, your favorite beverage, shine your light and light the way.
Good morning, everyone. It is September 10th, 2025, and it's time for your Good Morning Coffee and Talk. I'm Dolly. Over there is Ruben. He's sitting on his stairs, and it's time for the show. And I'm glad that you're here. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, we'll pull Ruben down for now. But yeah, look at him. He's tired today. And that's my fault. It's my fault that Ruben's tired because I stayed up late last night and he, of course, stayed up with me. So I kind of disconnected and was just reading, but me even turning the pages on my book keeps him awake. So he's probably grumpy with me. When I took the cover off his cage this morning, he went... So yeah, he's probably going to just be sort of chilling this morning. And that's okay. He can do that. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Teresa. Teresa, I was very shocked to hear that you had breast cancer surgery. I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that they got it all. That's amazing. And I was wondering where you were, and so was Katie. Katie says, "Hi, Teresa. I was just going to check on you. I pray that you are well." And Katie said, and Teresa said, "I had breast cancer surgery, but they got it all. So thank God. Thank the gods and all the realms that you're okay. Because that would make me sad if we lost you." So another survivor. I don't know. It's crazy how many cancer survivors there are in this little group that we're in here. It blows my mind that we've got so many cancer survivors. It's great though. I'm glad that we can all kind of commiserate together. I didn't have it bad. I mean, I did. I could have died, but it's nothing compared to like breast cancer, which is so aggressive. My cancer wasn't that aggressive, thank God, and they were able to get it all. At least we hope, but it hasn't come back yet. So knock on wood and prayers that it does not. So yeah. So good morning. Good morning, Fatima. It is good to see you, my friend. I am so glad that you're here. Oh, Sin is here too. Where did she go? I just saw her. Yeah, good morning. I think of myself as a cancer treatment survivor, right? So many people say that, especially when it comes to breast cancer, that the, just recovering from it was its own set of challenges, And, but here we are, right? Here we are. Good morning, Kelly. I am glad that you're here. I'm very glad. I saw that you had put up a video last night. I haven't been able to watch it yet, but I'm going to. I think it's a health check video. So I definitely will watch that, and I'm hoping that you're okay. I pray for you all the time, Kelly. And I'll be praying for you too now, Teresa. Actually, I'm going to pray for everybody because I love all of you guys. I saw Katie said hi to Nils, but I don't, for whatever reason, he's not showing up for me. I don't know why, but if you're here, Nils, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad to see you. Let's look at Ruben one more time. There he is. He is so mad at me today because I stayed up too late reading, kept him awake. But I'm reading a good book. It's called The Assassin's Apprentice. I'm reading it really slow. I'm just kind of reading a chapter a night and taking it slow because it's a really, really good story. And if anybody out there is kind of into fantasy novels, this is sort of a fantasy novel. It's really good. Oh, there he is. Good to see everyone. And good morning, Ruben. Yay. There's my friend Nils. I had a crazy busy week. I've had this month has been crazy busy, between things with the garage, 3 different doctor's appointments, going grocery shopping for my friend who lives in an assisted living, which I'd be going to see her anyway, so I don't mind doing that. And just things around the home here and my own hobbies. I've been very busy. I heard my mom say to me, just wait till you're retired. You're going to be busier than you ever thought you would be. And she's right, man. I feel like I don't have as much time for myself as I did when I was working, and maybe that's because when I was working, I mindfully made time for myself. Whereas now I'm always like, well, I'm not working, I'll have time. And then I overschedule myself, so I gotta get better at that. Kelly says, hugs everyone. I rushed to get here and catch up on chat. Teresa, I will keep you in my prayers. Oh, you're such a sweetheart, Kelly. Thank you. Sin says, I refuse radiation. Going through surgery and chemo was enough torture. Oh, I bet. Yikes. Katie says, I didn't have radiation because there was nothing left to radiate. Mastectomy on the left side. That's what my mom had as well. Oh, I think she had radiation too. You know what? I got to ask her. It's been so long, I don't remember. Kelly says, Teresa, the best advice I can give you is follow your intuition in all medical decisions. Absolutely. Yeah, listen to your body. Listen to your soul. And don't let any doctor push you into something that you don't want to do, or push you around, or make you feel like you're crazy because you're explaining to them what you're going through and they don't believe you. You make them believe you, or you find somebody to help advocate for you. Ain't that right? You don't mess with Teresa. That's what I'm saying. Chrissy's still looking for a job, so if you guys keep her in your prayers, I'd appreciate it. She is going through a really emotional time right now. She's just really struggling with this, and you know what it's like when you love someone and they're going through a struggle, and there's really nothing that you can do except for just be present, And as somebody who likes to heal and somebody who likes to fix, this has been a journey for me too. Practicing silence, practicing presence, and just trying to be the best partner that I can be, and reassure her that no matter what, she's not going to be living on the street, right? We're not going to let anything happen to her. But it's scary, it's scary for her. And at her age, she's just like, who's going to hire me? And now I got fired. How, after working for the same place for 3 years, who's going to want to hire me? So I'm trying to get her to push out the intention. I will find the best job that I've ever wanted. I am okay. Really trying to do the positive affirmations, but she's never really practiced that. This is all positive affirmations, and positive thinking is new to her, and she's struggling with that, So I need patience, and I need to be kind and not try to push her. And sometimes that's hard. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job of that, but it's causing a turmoil in me because it's going against my grain of always wanting to fix things, So yeah, it's been real, but I love her so much. I will do anything for her. So Katie says, cancer journey is the most personal battle of your life. Never back down on your care. That's right. That is right. This is about the worst time to need a job. Kinkles has ruined the economy. I know. I'm hoping maybe she can find something to do from home. Good morning, Ralph, my rock star friend. How are you? It is good to see you. Teresa says it's hard with all this Epstein stuff, not to bring up sex abuse, trying not to relive it. Oh, I know. And, you know, the rage that sometimes I feel towards Kankles is exactly that. It is exactly that. That is where my rage stems from, 100%. And I mean, of course, I feel enraged towards lots of things. And how I get that in check, you know, is all about my personal spiritual practice. If I didn't have it, I think I would be a raving lunatic right now, honestly. Kelly says it's a difficult thing at first because you feel like you're invalidating someone's emotions. Right. And that's right. And I don't want to do that. That is spot on, Kelly. You got that right on. Katie says, saying affirmations every morning before you get up and every night before you go to bed, even if it is just I am beautiful and I love myself, will change your focus positively. Yes, I believe in that, Katie. I do. Everybody's saying hi to Ralph. Katie, I love you. Since you guys brought up Epstein and Kankles, I'm fully convinced he was a full partner in their business under the guise of being modeling agency and beauty pageant. Well, yeah, I mean, there's like all these reports out there too from all these different girls that were in like the Miss Teen USA pageants or Miss Teen Universe pageants or whatever, that said about how he would just come right into the dressing room while they were changing clothes and just walk around and like, hey, I own this so I can see you naked, kind of like, so icky. Kelly says, yes, I talked about that in my last video. I feel like it has affected me more than I realized. Yeah. Teresa says, we have a new cancer place in Maine and they have been great. I can get free Reiki and acupuncture. You know, I will be doing that. Yeah, right. If that's free for you to take advantage of, I would so be on that. Kelly says, that is awesome, Teresa. Is that place anywhere near Portland? If I'm missing anybody saying anything, please forgive me. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. I've got a little bit of a sore throat today. Can you hear that in my voice? I don't know if it's allergies or what's going on today. Last night I noticed I felt like I had a little bit of a fever. I should probably take my temperature when we're done here. But I've had all the windows open because it's been cool. So it might be allergies. I don't know. But I will check. I will stay up on it. Katie says, I love and swear by acupuncture. I would like to try that. Westbrook, part of Dana-Farber. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, yeah. Acupuncture for pain. I was watching a guy yesterday. I had sent Katie the link. He's a pharmacist. And he goes into like different places and buys medicine and then breaks down whether it's a good or bad medicine. And this one episode, he went into a Asian food market and bought up like all their bought up a bunch of their over-the-counter medications and brought them home and translated them and said what was exactly in them. And half of them, he was like, I'm totally going to use this. But there was a couple where he was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know if I'm going to recommend this. Oh, you watch him too, Teresa? Yeah. So cool. He's such a cool dude. Katie says, if you get a headache, sore throat, and a fever, that sure sounds like my supposed sinus infection. A lot of card readers, too, right now are getting sickness that are involving their third eye area. That's kind of where my headache is. I'm just assuming that it's sinuses, but who knows, man. Ralph says, Westbrook is near Portland. I used to live way up in Aroostook County. Did I say that right, Ralph? I don't know. Aroostook. What is that named after? Aroostook. What an interesting name. Let's check on Ruben. Oh, he's still there. There he is. Let's see if we can get him to whistle. No, he's like, oh, he moved. He's not ready. He's not ready to engage with the world yet. I'm sorry. A roostic. Okay, gotcha. Up by the Canadian border, don't you know? All right. Neat. So my newest hobby has been something called Meshtastic. Have any of you guys heard of Meshtastic? It is a free-to-use, over-the-air network that allows you to send digital messages over the air to anyone who has a node. So I have this machine here. I'm going to show it to you. Kelly has. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you. I have it hooked up to my. Oh, am I going to be able to show you this? I have it hooked up to an antenna, so I got to kind of. But this is the device that I'm using. This is a LilyGo TDEC Plus, and it has I don't know if you can see that, it has a UI on there that is very easy to use. And right now I am connected to 18 of 219 nodes. So right now I can send a message and those 18 people will see my message, which is kind of neat, If something crazy happens, like the power grid goes down, or we have some sort of, electromagnetic pulse from the sun that kind of takes down communications for a while, or if I'm in an area where cell signal isn't great, but there's other people who are on the Meshtastic net nearby, I can send out a distress signal from my little device. I also have this, which is also a Meshtastic device. It's the same thing, but instead of using a little machine that looks like a BlackBerry, you use this in correlation with your cell phone. And again, it does the same thing. It sends out a signal. I can text from my phone. It repeats off of this device and sends it out into the net. And I think it's really neat. And I am just like excited about this. And at first I only had like 8 people that I was kind of conversing with. Now I've got 219. So it's the mesh is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the further out and the more people who use this, the more of a viable communication device this is going to become. So yeah, I think it's neat. And that is my new hobby right now. I've got an antenna outside, which really boosted the signal. And I'm going to use this little repeater. I'm going to carry this repeater with me and keep this machine, the other machine, attached to the antenna as sort of a repeater so that I can talk to people all over the place. Isn't that neat? I love geeky things like that. I think it's great for off-grid communication. So, woohoo! All right. Katie says, my project for today is making a Faraday cage for a laptop and other items. I am using a metal garbage can. Yeah, having a Faraday cage that you can throw your some of your electronic devices into is a good idea, because our sun is very active right now. And a coronal mass ejection that's big enough could wipe out, the power. It could wipe out communications. So, and everything that's electronic would be affected by that. It could blow out the electronics in your car. It could blow out the electronics in your heating or air conditioning, in your computers and your phones and your radios. So having a Faraday cage that you could put some, communications devices in, or, your computer, because even if you can't connect to the internet, you could still do a lot with your computer, right? You still have access to pictures and things like that you might want to be able to look at, especially if the electricity is down for a long time, So I think that building a Faraday cage is a very neat project, Katie. That's very cool. I have Faraday bags. I don't have any in here, otherwise I'd show you one. But I have Faraday bags, and they're basically copper-lined grid. It's like a copper mesh bag that I can put stuff into that'll help protect it. And it goes into a EMF-proof safe. So I've got double protection on all my devices if I need to. All right. People saying hi. I love hugs. I love hugs. I am a hug. So I love them. Everybody's giving hugs. Everybody's saying hi. That's great. Oh, Pam's here too. Hi, Pam. How are you, Pam? It is good to see you. Well, let me read an affirminator for today, so we can get our good vibe on. So the next one in line of our affirminators is power. I am strong. I am grounded. I am powerful. I am like a cross between a dinosaur and a tank, but not a tank that is used for war. I am like a peaceful, loving dino tank who feels so strong it doesn't need to do anything but be. And there's our dino tank. So today, be a dino tank. All you need is love. Do, 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 do. Right? Well, I don't think that I could Oh, Tabitha the Mystic. Hey, how are you? I am glad. Please be careful while you drive. I'm glad that you're listening, but if I say something loud, please don't drive off the road. That would be terrible. Or a bison. Yeah, be a bison. Yeah, we were just talking about that today, weren't we, Katie? I was telling Katie the story about how Rick and I were in South Dakota near the Badlands. Actually, it was in the Badlands. And we had pulled over into a public area where camping is allowed. And we set up our tent. We went to bed. And we were halfway, on our way to Colorado. And when we woke up in the morning, I opened up the tent. And we were surrounded by buffalo, or surrounded by bison. And I just slowly closed the tent. And I turned to Rick and I'm like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about this? So we slowly opened up the tent, slowly got out, slowly went and got into the car. And I made breakfast in the back seat. We waited for them to just wander away, which they did. It didn't take long. They just wandered away. But man, I didn't want to get stampeded. If something spooked them, they would have stampeded right over our tent and we would have been dead. So they're very, very big. They're very, very big. That was so scary. Tabitha says, haven't started driving yet, but fixing to. Good to see you. Yeah, it's good to see you too. Very, very good. Yeah, just be careful as you drive today. We want you to get wherever it is that you're going safely. Katie says they're all muscle too. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And her and I were talking about how how fast they can run. And it is true. We saw that firsthand. We saw them running, and they were really fast. They were keeping up with the car alongside the road. I think we were going like 35 miles an hour, and they were easily keeping up with us. They could have even went faster. It was crazy how fast they are. It's so big. You know, I can't go through today without talking about September 11th, 2001, just a little bit. You know, I was talking to Katie this week about this. You know, I'm going back and forth over how I want to progress forward every time this day comes up. I don't want to forget it. It was so impactful and scary. It definitely was for a lot of us our Pearl Harbor moment, you know. So it's difficult to, I will never forget it. I couldn't forget it even if I wanted to, I don't think, because it was just such a crazy, impactful moment in time for not only myself, but for everyone. And when that happened, I wasn't spiritually connected like I am now. I was religious, but I wasn't spiritually connected. But I was spiritually connected, just didn't know it, you know. So the collective energy that happened during that time was so incredibly overwhelming for me. I had nightmares for years, you know. And I don't have nightmares anymore, which I'm very grateful for, but I still think about it. I still think about that time and that day, what I saw, what I felt, what everyone else was feeling. You know, something interesting, you know, Devante was only 7 years old when that happened. You know, Devante, my stepson. And he says that he doesn't remember really the events of that day, but what he does remember is how all the adults reacted to what they were seeing and how that made him feel. When everyone around him was freaking out, how that made him feel. Isn't that interesting? You know? And I think that we all remember where we were when we got the news that it was happening. I was right in front of the TV watching it live when it happened. So I saw the whole thing unfold. I was on the phone with my grandma for the second plane hitting the second tower, or Tower 1. I think that it hit Tower 2 first and then Tower 1, I think. But yeah, that was just mental. It is stuck here so much that I feel like I can't just walk away from saying or doing or commemorating this day without feeling like I'm letting the people who died down. You know what I mean? But I don't know that I need to fully immerse myself in it either. So what are your thoughts on it, you guys? Let's see. Yes, bison do taste good. I've had bison burgers many times. They're very, very good. Pam says, what an amazing experience. Yeah, it was amazing, but it was also a little scary. Katie says, I was laying in my bed totally helpless, flat on my back in a neck brace, watching it all occur on TV. I was terrified because I couldn't even run away if they showed up in my town. Right. And we all felt that way, didn't we? We all felt like this could happen here. I mean, I'm really close to Chicago. So that was my fear, was that something was going to happen in Chicago. And I had I still do have so many friends down in Chicago. So my fear went there, you know, and it became very personal. It really did. Katie says, Air Force Base here has one of the world's largest storage of jets and airplanes in the world. I just saw this place being the next place being bombed and I couldn't run and hide. Oh, Katie. Yeah. Kelly says it was a very weird day. I worked for Marsh McLennan at the time that had offices in the building. My office was not in in the building. Oh, I'm glad your office was not in the building. Wow. It was also my grandmother's birthday that day, and I was leaving for work to pick her up from the nursing home for her birthday. I ended up getting out much earlier than expected. My poor grandmother didn't understand what was going on. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They came through Maine, so that is scary. Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah. I remember I was getting ready for work, and it was a day where at the job that I worked at, we had to be ASC certified in specific things concerning automobiles to do the job that we did. So I had several ASC certifications, and I was certified to certify other people in these two particular areas that were ASC certifications. And we were having a certification day that day. So I was going into work later than I normally would, which put me in front of the television exactly when that happened. Rick and myself were standing there staring at it, staring at the TV, just watching the Today Show when they broke in with the news about what had happened. And we were standing there watching the TV. We saw the second plane come in, we saw it hit, and Rick yelled out, "Here comes another plane." And then boom, it exploded. And I just fell to the floor weeping. I was so scared. I have never been more terrified in my life. I am somebody who takes pride in myself as being someone who isn't easily frightened to that degree. Okay. I'm usually pretty stoic through the storm, but on that day I was not. I fell to the floor crying. My grandma called after the first one hit. So I was on the phone with my grandma and watching the TV when that happened. And I went, "Grandma, another plane hit." And I fell to the floor and I was crying and she was crying. And I said, "I got to call Mom and let her know what's going on." My mom was at work. I couldn't get through to her. Oh, it was one heck of a day. Let me tell you. Woo. Katie says, to commemorate this day, I usually meditate on the souls of the lost and souls destroyed on that day. The memories, the toxic illnesses, I sit with that in meditation on 9/11 in the morning and I weep. I think, you know what, I'm going to do that too. That's beautiful, Katie. I mean, that's a beautiful way to remember it without getting too completely immersed in what happened. Sort of protecting yourself, but still allowing yourself to be vulnerable with the feelings. I mean, we have to heal from this, and I think the only way to do that is to express it. Teresa says one of the TSA committed suicide because she didn't catch them. Oh, that breaks my heart. It was not her fault. It was not her fault. Katie says, when I'm done weeping, I let it go and go about my day for another year and don't let it affect me. Man, I wish I could do that. My neighbor was traffic control. Oh, he had to land all the planes. And there was a place like in Newfoundland, I think, where a whole bunch of planes went to, and the city just like housed them, fed them, provided them entertainment, took care of them until they could get back on their planes and fly again. And I thought that was a beautiful story that came out of that whole situation. Good morning, Sonia. Good morning, everyone. Was lurking. I think we all will never forget 9/11. I was pregnant with my daughter, and everyone warned me not to go in. I worked near the top of the tallest building in LA. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have went in either. That is so scary. That is crazy. My friend lost his twin brother at the Pentagon. Oh, that is so horrible. And that's so close to home for you, Sonia. Oh my gosh. Katie says, I don't watch any of the stuff on TV about it because living through it was enough. Yes, I agree. Same here. Same here. I've kind of let that go. Canada took care of them. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. God bless Canada. Yeah, that's wild. And I think about it now, and I think, man, I kind of wish that I had the spiritual practice back then that I have now. I think about how that might have really helped me get through the first years after it happened, when I was having the nightmares and I couldn't release myself from the fear. I feel like had that happened now with where I am right now, I think I could have handled it better. Oh, Fatima, us Canadians are very friendly and take care of our friends. Yes, and we love you for that. You don't even know. I know that, Kinkles the dump is not portraying that, and his administration isn't portraying that. But I think that you'd find that most Americans really do love our Canadian neighbors, our brothers and sisters to the north. We really, really do. And Mexico too. There are human beings with families and friends who are eating and drinking, who are living, who are getting sick, going into hospitals, coming out again, who are living their lives just like we are. And we appreciate that. At least I do. I love our neighbors. We're supposed to do that. We're supposed to love our neighbors. Okay, Katie says, I have yet to meet a Canadian that I really didn't love. And I've worked with people from Canada as well as had friends from Canada. And now I got sisters from there. And they're in you guys. Yes. Yes, Sonia. Love Canada, love Mexico. We are family. That's right. We are right. Yes, we are family. We are family. I got all my sisters and me and brothers too. Yes, the Bible says we are to take them in and care for them. That is right. Thank you, Kelly. Yes. My terrible singing didn't do them justice, but that's exactly what I was thinking. Katie says, just think with the combination of Canada, the United States, and Mexico working together, sister country, is what we could accomplish. Yes. And I thought that that's kind of what we were doing. I thought that that's where we were going. Cankles. But, something that got me thinking was with this thing with 9/11 was the spiritual benefits, or the positive benefits of being a spiritual person. All the different things that we have as spiritual people that really help us through situations like this. And it's stuff that I wish that I would have had back then, like the sense of inner peace that I have now that I didn't have back then. The way that I can calm myself when there are storms brewing in my life, the way that I can breathe through the storms and be sitting in the middle of the maelstrom and just still be at peace. That doesn't mean that I don't get affected by things that are happening around me. I do sometimes, but just being able to have the resilience and the hope that I have now really helps me be able to settle back into a peace after the maelstrom, And I wish that I would have had that back then, but I'm so grateful that I have it now, Neil says, the world needs a council of humanity, normal folks not influenced by greed, banks, or corruptions. A freaking man. Yes. A freaking man. I agree with you. Yes, that was NAFTA. Right. North American Free Trade Agreement. Hello. We had that. Kelly wants to know, Sonia, if your hip is better today. I hope it is. We also need to stop measuring our success in material things and accumulated things. That is hoarder mentality. And in the psychiatric model, you need help. Right. That's right. I mean, we do have to look we do have to look at our common shared humanity in everything that we do. Now, does that mean that it's a free for all and we just let everybody do everything they want to because they're human beings? No, of course not, But we do have to take into consideration that nobody is better than anybody else. And this whole attitude that I'm seeing coming out of the current Kinkle administration is so much we're better than everybody else. This attitude that is put out there, and look at the karma that is unrolling because of that in our country. Yeah, it's awful. Sonia says, yes, thank you. Yesterday was rough, but the inflammation, it tamed today. Oh, good. Good. All the prayers helped, I'm hoping. I'm hoping. And, something else that comes out of, seeing that we're talking about that, something that comes out of being a spiritual person and living a spiritual life, like actually living it, not just talking the love and light thing every day, but actually living that kind of life, is there is a large amount of compassion and empathy that are born out of that inside of you, right? Where you can see fellow human beings as fellow human beings, Nils is here, in our Fellowship of Northern Traditions. That is something that struck me from day one about that group. And, I was very hesitant about joining any kind of a group that had any kind of spiritual or religious affiliation, because I had such a terrible experience with that in Christianity. And I'm not saying Christianity is bad. It is not. Okay. I don't think that there is a belief system out there that is necessarily bad. Okay. But the experience that I had in this particular place was terrible. Okay. And it was born from this idea that some people are better than other people. And here we are sitting in our little church worshiping Jesus, and we're great, and everything outside of the world is not. And I couldn't get behind that. And I couldn't get behind how they treated people who were differently, how they treated them so terribly, But with the Fellowship of Northern Traditions, I walked in there a new person, and now I've got hundreds of friends, hundreds of brothers and sisters who I could say, please come help me, and people would get in their cars and actually drive to me to help me, which blows my mind. It still blows my mind. So, yeah, that is what I'm talking about, that kind of humanity. Nils has a group of people who, I don't know if they still are, but they've for months and months, for over a year, they were going like every weekend to places that were affected by the hurricanes in North Carolina, and were helping to do cleanup and get people back on their feet. That is how human beings see other human beings. And that inspires me. That kind of empathy and compassion inspires me every single day, And I have so much gratitude and joy from knowing that there are people out there like you guys who are willing to pray, who are willing to lend a hand, who are willing to give a loving word to the people who are in need. That is amazing. And that is what I'd like to see more of. I'm just saying. Belief with action. That is correct. That is what faith is, in my humble opinion. It's not just believing in the unseen. It is the act. It is the act of what you're going to do with that. You've got this belief. What are you going to do with it? Right? I think that that's part of faith too. Katie was raised a Southern Baptist. I was raised in the Evangelical Free Church. And if anybody knows what that is, you know what I'm talking about. Neil says, true story. All religion beliefs working together for humanity. That is the most basic principle of a human. That's right. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Teresa says, did you see some of the gangs are pulling together to protect brown people? I haven't, but that does not surprise me. I'm surprised that hadn't happened sooner, actually. I mean, we don't know, as white people, we really don't know what it's like to live in America as a brown-skinned person. We can kind of put ourselves maybe into the shoes of brown-skinned people. I live with a man who's black, and I've seen firsthand what's happened to him over and over and over again, for being a black guy who's living in a mostly white community, although that is changing in the area that we're in. It's still predominantly white. And anybody who says that racism doesn't exist anymore and it only exists because people are bringing it up, bullshit. I don't know what kind of little candy world that that you're living in if you think that that's the case, but that's bullshit. So, just my 2 cents. That wasn't very love and light. I'm getting a little riled up, so forgive me. But I just want to see people come together and, I want them to find an inner peace that I have found. I want people to understand what resilience and hope feels like when you've submerged yourself into a spiritual lifestyle. I want people to have compassion and empathy for one another. And I want people to practice gratitude and joy. Be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the people that are in your life. Be grateful that you're waking up each day and breathing. Did you guys see on the news about this woman who got onto, I don't remember if it was a bus or a subway, and the guy sitting behind her just up and stabbed her and killed her for no reason? For no reason. We have way too much of that happening. Too many times we're seeing people just get up, go into schools and churches and just shoot the place up. We're seeing Americans killing other Americans constantly. For what? There is like a detachment from the soul happening. You know what I'm saying? It's like a detachment. Katie says, we should not have to fight for the very basic needs in life, like food, water, and shelter. And all of that is under attack right now. Yes, it is. And it's got people very scared. Exactly. Less people express gratitude these days. Yeah, be grateful. Come on now. Kelly says it's more implicit biases than out and out racism. But because I am Arab, I am more tuned to seeing it, right? Yeah, I can see how that would, well, it's same thing. I'm more tuned to seeing it because I'm living with someone who is black, and where I didn't notice it before, I'm noticing it now. I notice it if he and I go to Walmart and we're being followed by security the whole time that we're in there. You know, I notice these things. I'll never forget, you know, getting pulled over and the cop being like, oh, never mind, and letting us go because they saw me in the car with Devante. What? It's unreal. Unreal. They're trying to divide us in every way. You got that right. You have got that right. Pamela agrees with you. Sometimes it takes true suffering for people to realize that what they are grateful for. That is true too. That is true too. Yes. Because once the suffering has lifted, you know, and when you're steeped in suffering, that causes its own set of understandings about how great it was when you were not suffering. And then when you're done suffering, it is another set of aha awakenings when you're like, wow, I lived through that. I am so grateful. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll be honest and pay attention, folks. Yeah. The U.S. economy appears to be entering a hybrid crisis that combines the worst aspects of both the 1974 stagflationary collapse and the 2008 demand-driven financial crisis, now amplified by a deeper structural breakdown in the supply side of the economy. Right, with the tariffs. Oops, I missed something. Health insurance costs will increase 30% by next year. Be prepared. Great. And as I'm getting older, I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear that. Katie says, I used to date a retired Lieutenant Colonel, Air Force Special Ops. He was black and he was terrified every time I got in a car. Terrified every time a cop car pulled in behind us. I got educated. Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. So what do we got to do? We got to keep shining our lights. We have to keep hope alive. We have to see the good in the people that are around us and see the good. We have to see the good in everything. And even with Kinkles, we have to be open to the idea that there are still good things that he could possibly do too. And we can't automatically write off everything just because we don't like the guy, you know? And that's hard for me because really anytime he opens his mouth, I just want to vomit. But if there are good things happening, we have to be willing to say, okay, that was a good thing. Can we have more of the good things? You know? But I really want us to be like open-armed to all the people around us. You know, there are people that we do not agree with who are still holding on tight. But more and more and more, those people are kind of letting go of the rope. And they're standing back and going, oh my God, what did I do? You know, I have a neighbor who is like that right now, who is like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I had no idea. I don't know how you could not have any idea, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it because there was an actual genuine, I am sorry, coming from them, you know? And it was from somebody who I thought I'd never hear that from. So I'm going to take it. And so we need to show compassion, right? We need to show compassion for those people. Hello, Linda. I just wanted to pop in and give you a thumbs up and a hug. Well, thank you. I'll take a thumbs up and a hug, and I'll give you a hug right back. Thank you. Butterflies. I love butterflies. Katie says, we have to focus on what we're going to rebuild now. We have been focusing on stopping him. That makes makes her focus him. We are manifesting more power to him. We have to work after him. Right. Exactly. Burn is a good song for that. Shine that light. We should protect those that are most vulnerable. My daughter joined a rapid response team. You know what? We do have to protect those that are most vulnerable. You are absolutely right. There are so many. Could do some good by accident. Right. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It could accidentally happen. It might. Maybe it's just our area, but I see entitlement on the rise. More and more folks act like they are immune to rules and show no respect to their fellow person. I think it's a white person Rhode Island thing. We see that here too. So it's not just a Rhode Island thing. It's happening in the Midwest as well. Katie says, and I keep hearing from Spirit that he's not going to be here on Halloween. When I did my reading for the last quarter of 2025, I definitely got a feeling that something so major was going to change that it would affect everyone. And I don't want to dive into something's going to happen to him specifically, but in all honesty, it sure did feel that way. You know, I'm not sure what that thing is going to be, whether it be a physical thing or maybe just something so politically ridiculous that resignation is called for. I don't know. It was very hard for me to interpret what I was seeing and feeling. So we'll have to see. And I may do another reading on that at the beginning of October or maybe the end of September to see if I can hone in a little bit tighter what that thing might be. Or I might not go into that energy at all and just wait it out and see what happens. I don't know. We'll have to see what's happening. We'll just have to see. I don't like going into his energy at all. It's so freaking chaotic. It's chaos. And it is actually terrified. That's a terrified energy and a chaos energy. Teresa says, we need to be like elephants in danger. They circle the young and old elephants to protect them. Amen. Yes. I'm wearing my pendulum close to my heart today. I am wearing my Mjolnir close to my heart. 4. Our leaders need to set a better example for society to mirror. You're absolutely right about that. You know, there was a time when the elected officials in our country were actually the pillars of the community. They were the leaders who weren't power hungry, but who were community minded and wanted to just use their skills to help make a better society. For Milwaukee, the city that I live in, there was like 30 years worth of socialist mayors here. Did you guys know that? And Milwaukee was like one of I think maybe the only socialist city in the country. And that the laws that were built around that still exist today, thank goodness. But yeah. Katie says, actually, when I go into his energy today, he's super dizzy. Oh, I don't even want to know. Heart failure is going on there, I think. Ralph, we need a society that produces good leaders, not ones intent on public service for clout. That's exactly right. And I think that that's what Ralph means, too. You know, Ralph, I think Ralph is on the same page as you. Yeah, there are too many people who see political service as a means to popularity, power, money, They're not thinking about the good that they could do for our country or for our state or for our city, And that's because not enough people are putting their thumb down on the politicians and making them understand that they work for us. There's too many hands-off people here who are just like, well, I don't even care about politics. I don't care about the government. Whatever it's doing is fine as long as I get paid. As long as I get mine. We got too much of that going on. There's definitely a detachment from the soul in our country right now that needs to be reattached, Spiritual living. Let's promote that. Let's promote it, not in a superficial, love and light kind of way, but in a true, this is what spirituality is. This is what we do. You can have a faith and a spiritual practice. You can be like Fatima, Catholic, and have a spiritual practice. You can be like me, Norse pagan, and have a spiritual practice. Or generic pagan and have a spiritual practice. Lutheran have a spiritual practice. You can have these things together. They're not things that have to butt against heads. I am quite positive that if Jesus and Buddha were in the same room talking to one another, which I'm sure that they do, the conversation would have been amazing. And they would have been on the same page for a whole lot of what they think. Woo! Let me tell you. Katie says, I grew up with a father who worked for the National Park Service. I have seen government crap my whole life. He was a nervous wreck 90% of the time, but I got to live in God's country. Yeah, you got to grow up in the forest, which I think is neat. Yeah, Ralph and you are saying the same thing. Yes, absolutely. And it all starts with community. That's right. Community is the heart of everything. It's our tribe. We are far more like wolves than we are like anything else, I think. Sally's here. Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. It is good to see you. Yeah, piecemealed from every kind of faith I've been involved in. Yes. Learned about and read about. That's kind of me too, Katie. I have so many different paths that I've walked in my life, and I've taken the best practices from all of them and kind of created my own jam, But at the center of it all is the divine connection that I have, the divine in me connecting with the divine. So, and I feel like that's where the vast majority of my strength comes from, as far as my abilities to, like I said, stay calm in the maelstrom as it's swirling around me, as the hurricane's running around me, how I can kind of keep myself steady. It's my spirituality. It is the heart of everything. And my connection to all of you. Because I know that if I'm suffering in any kind of way, I know I can reach out, and that all of you, would either have advice or just have a kind word or prayers. That support, that community, like Nils was talking about, is so important. It's what keeps us together. It's what keeps us thriving, right? And I appreciate all of your energy, your wisdom, your understanding. I am so grateful, you guys. I am so grateful. Yes, the magical think tank. I love that. Yes. For sure. Being on this stream is like sitting in a comfortable village lodge discussing life issues. I love it. Oh, that's what I try. We all got we've all got something that we'd like to talk about. And I want this to be like a safe place where people can talk about whatever's on their minds, and that we can lift each other up, and Katie's like that. Nils, you're like that. Sonia's like that. Kelly's like that. Fatima's like that. Sally's like that. Teresa's like that. Everybody who's in here, that's how you are. Linda, right? That's how we are. We are creating a community where we can, of like minds, reach out to one another and just lift each other up, raise those vibes. And I love that. I love that, you guys. Well, I just noticed that it is after 11, so I'm going to end this today. I love you guys. I really appreciated this conversation today. It really helped me feel better. So thank you for that. Not that I was feeling terrible, but 9/11, when it comes up, it's still, believe it or not, somewhat raw in me. And I really appreciated being able to sort of just talk that out with you guys today. So I thank you. I thank you very much. I love you guys. Remember, Coffee Chat Oracle, Sonia is on Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So that's 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 on the East Coast. So she has another beautiful stream. So please get in there and on Friday to check her out. Okay. And all of us, me, Katie, we've got videos coming out. Kelly's got videos coming out. So please, check in with our channels and help support us by giving our videos a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. And before you leave here today, if you could hit the thumbs up on your way out the door, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So anyways, I am going to let you guys go. I love you guys, and we will see you all very soon again. Mwah!
Thank you for coming to my show. I'll see you all next time. You all rock. Tommy loves you. Dance around the room. It's time to go. Why are you still here? Tommy needs a sandwich and a nap. I'll see you next time. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Thank you for coming to my show. I'll see you all next time. You all rock. Tommy loves you.